a friend, Shobowale, Animasaun. Got to know each other in the secondary school. Although we both schooled at Agege, he attended the Shobowale Memorial School, but they are not far from each other. But we never knew each other at that time until we got to grammar school in 1955, January 27 or thereabout to be precise. And from that moment, we started becoming closer. We became closer when the school moved to Bariga in 1957. And then some of them, including our late friend Shobowale Animasaun. Let me say that he was not bearing Shobowale Animasaun when we were in school, bearing the name Bisirius Sumonu. He bore the name Bisirius Sumonu.
Yes.
Up to when he was in Central Bank.
Oh, okay.
He worked first of all in Ministry of Works and Survey.
Okay, sir.
When we left school in 59.
Okay, sir.
He worked in Works and Survey, Tafa Balewa Square, for about a year or close back in 1961.
So he worked at Works and Survey for 2 years, sir. After?
Well, it's not up to 2 years. But his first place of working was Works and Survey,
okay, sir.
Race course.
Okay, sir.
He didn't spend up to 2 years because he was one of those who was lucky to have started work almost immediately we left school in November 1959. He was able to get work. When we got to Bariga, that was in 1957, the association became much closer and stronger. When we were at Odolami, between 55, when we were at Odolami, the school was at Odolami Street, Lagos. And we were in Odolami up till 1957. It was when we moved to I think it was end of 57 that we got to Bariga, and some of them settled by hiring houses at Bariga. Well, I was not. I was living at Mushi, Juro, then, so I was not one of those that lived at Bariga. We became closer by virtue of the fact that we relate to them. Sometimes we didn't want to go home early. We would go to their place where they are living and go while away sometime and so on. So we started becoming closer when we got to Bariga in 57. I knew that when he was in school, he was good in sports. I think he was doing either 400 or 800 years race. He was good in sports, moderately, but I don't think he represented the school at any time.
In 400 or 800 meters?
Either 400 or 800 meters. Well, we talk of yards in those days.
That?
We talk of yards.
Okay.
We are not going metric.
Yes.
So.
Now, during this time, he seemed to have a soft spot for the sport of boxing. Was he a boxer as a student?
No, I was never a boxer.
But was boxing one of the sports students participated in back then?
Some students, yes, some students took part in boxing. People like late Femi Fatoba,
Oh,
and then Duro Onabule,
oh,
they were boxers, but he was not part of. Was not a boxer.
okay.
Your father that I knew was a very loyal gentleman. He cared about the people around him, and he was very respectful. He was a gentleman, not scruffy, well dressed, and a professional.
He was very hardworking. He used to. I was living at Idiogo, at Adebite Street to be precise, and he used to visit me, particularly when he was coming back from Akeode. He would go to Akeode weekend.
Okay. During the week, he stayed in the rented.
So we became much closer when the school moved to Bariga, and he had the opportunity of visiting me at home, particularly when returning from Akeode. I think the parents were at Akeode then. So that was how we became closer.
Professional. I knew him just temporarily before I left Nigeria to go and study. And by the time I came back in the 70s, I'd lost touch with him until Mr. Akingbembe came to Obafemi Awolowo University for his younger brother's inaugural. And he was taken aback to see me there because I think all he thought was that I was a housewife.
Okay. Not an academic.
Not an academic. And so he was surprised. And of course, I asked him about Shobowale. And he must have come back to the office to say, hey, guess who I saw? And that's how we reunited again. But again, it was temporary. Until
Let me mention one thing about my late friend. He was a very kind somebody. He was a very kind somebody, very generous. Very generous. My late friend, Shobowale, Animasaun. So, and of course, this endeared him to a lot of people. He was ready to help you, even at the point of inconveniencing himself. He was ready to help. And of course, he did not take his generosity for granted. He was very firm. And if you try to exploit his generosity, then you can see the rough side of him. But he was very generous. And of course, that of course was perhaps in accordance with the name he adopted when he became a Christian, after becoming a Christian and being an Animasaun. Of course, the name Animasaun is somebody who has and does not, it's not stingy.
It's not stingy.
It's ready to give. Very generous.
So I needed an office space for my husband because by then we had moved to Ajun. And instead of him having to travel long distance to office in Sabu, I needed somewhere close. And that's how I went to visit him in the office. And he was happy to see me. And initially,
Well, if he's doing something that is good with and extend it to you, just as in the case of this land, how we got that's what we do. For example, that the operation of Tawi, we wanted us to anybody who cares. That she was 2000 something then. Very cheap. We buy it, we get a driver, all collection will be made to him. At the end of the week, we need to go to him, and then he tell us how much we collected. And they'll give you, without saying that we're going to take commission and everything.
according to him,
But the attention,
his idea was to have that office all to himself, not go into rentals. But I must have persuaded him, and the gentleman that he was, and because he also have heard about my husband, we had never met. He felt that, oh, somebody of his caliber would not bring riffraffs, because that was what he was protecting. He didn't want that big of an exposure to his plan. So he gave us the topmost floor of his office, and my husband was happy with that. The price was reasonable, and I think along the line we managed to get to know each other. And he then asked if he could move to the other wing so that he can rent the whole building. I wasn't a party to that, but they agreed, and so he moved from just renting one floor to renting a second wing of his place. And they continued like that. And as I said,
You see, we went to their house, to his house. He was talking with my husband for quite a long time. The when I was about to leave, he sent what's his name? He sent Kennedy and Tayo to go and bring money for me for taxi. I said no. No. And he was crying because I didn't take it. And he told everybody we are crying.
because that is one of Nigeria's topmost investor, agricultural entrepreneur.
now, we met again in the central bank after during school. He joined the bank much earlier than myself. And I had the privilege of working together with him in one of the offices. I think it's public debt office.
Okay.
Public debt office. That is the office responsible for managing the debt stocks, treasury bills, and so on, issued on behalf of government by the central bank. So we happened to work together in that office, public debt office. That was the first office we worked together in central bank. And I think that was the last office, because after that, he was posted to accounts department, even at a much lower level when he was a senior supervisor. In fact, right from that time, it became clear that at least he was somebody on whom a much premium, or who can be relied upon. And of course, he proved his bosses right by giving him the opportunity to serve at a higher level. We have got baptized, let me put it that way, in June 1962.
June 20.
June 24, yeah, precisely. But I have my own, I still have my own certificate at Bariga. By then, we have left school.
Yes, sir.
So we came back to meet the principal, and the principal was the person who did the baptism for us. Myself, himself, they showed me, Idori, they were godfathers.
Okay, sir.
Well, I don't think we need all those details.
Well, mommy had mentioned to me that Pashodimo was the godfather of the certificate. So, yeah, the second.
Okay, she has seen the certificate.
Yes, mommy had mentioned it to me before.
Okay, well, Shobowale was one of the godfathers.
Yes, sir.
And Idori was the second.
Okay, sir.
For a man who is baptizing, they need two men, so to say, confirmed Christian. They are supposed to be confirmed. So Shobowale and Idori were the godfathers. Okay, for both of us. Okay, sir. For each of us. And our sister is Aribusi Yabo, Victoria Aribusi, was the godmother. Okay, sir. For each of us. Okay, sir. Your own sister? Yes, myself too. 24th June 1962. That was when we became.
So that was when he now took the name Animasaun.
I think it's from that time he took the name Animasaun, because up till the time he joined Central Bank, he was still bearing the serious money, and up to a certain time. So I think it was following that conversion from Muslim to Christian that he had now adopted the name Shobowale Akoni Animasaun. But each of us, when we were in school, we don't bear three names. You say your first name and your father's name. Okay. But when we were sitting for the exam, the school certificate exam in 1959, the principal said, well, any of us who needs to add additional name, okay, sir, could add it so that the name will appear on the certificate. So I think it was from that point he added Akoni, but he still remained Sumonu Ebisiriu Animasaun. Okay, so you will not be Bisiriu Akoni? Yes, that's the problem. When he took on the Akoni that was in the middle name, but it was Bisiriu Animasaun from 1955 to 1959, before the certificate exam. Before the school certificate exam, when each of us added additional name. I remember. Yes. This behavior now confirmed that the name Animasaun is not just in name, but it's also in deed, because he was ready to was ready to give whatever. In fact, when he has, at least it's not somebody who is stingy. I mean, so.
Ìgbà tá